Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, and when I'm not trying to go through this week without shark-related content, I'm here at the Wolfula reviewing movies. In this vid, I'll be covering sand sharks. Oh, god damn it! Now, this vid will be a bit different from usual, but familiar. Now, a little backstory. When I started making videos, I didn't really technically review them. I just went through the plot beat for beat with jokes. This was pretty standard practice back in the day, but I got bored of just doing videos like that, and it limited what I could cover. So I switched to actually reviewing movies, and enjoyed it a lot better. But, you know, some folks really miss the old way, so I'll throw you nostalgia whores out there a bone, and bring back the old approach as RIFFVIEWs. Yeah, I'm not gonna fuck around and pretend these are actual reviews, so I'm just gonna call them RIFFVIEWs to separate them from the real reviews. RIFFVIEWs will only cover the worst movies out there, movies that don't really need an actual review anyway. They only need to be made fun of. Anyway, the movie I'll be watching for my quote-unquote first RIFFVIEW is Sand Sharks, a shitty direct-to-video flick starring Corin Nemec, the guy who stars in all of these shitty direct-to-video movies, and, Hulk Hogan's daughter. I am straight up not having a good time. Before we begin, I'd just like to point out that the distributor of this film, American World Pictures, has the most poorly thought-out name for a production company I've ever seen. I can imagine the founder of the company standing over a mountain of coke saying, "We make movies in America, we make movies in the world. American World Pictures." Sand Sharks opens up with dirt bikers driving through the most massive and mountainous beach I've ever seen. What is this geography? This looks like Tatooine. The movie really milks the dirt bike stunts for its opening. You'd think this was somebody's GoPro video on YouTube. One of the bikers wipes out, and after a suspenseful couple of moments where the actor pretends he can't move his bike, a blur of CGI enters frame and, I guess, ate that guy and his bike, but I guess drew the line at eating his flag and helmet. That shit is empty calories anyway. The other biker tries to escape the cartoon Finn gliding through the sand, but it's useless. The crude CGI must feed. Okay, is that seriously the logo of the movie? Did the editor really use the first royalty-free horror font they could find and give it an Indiana Jones color scheme? Just the sheer incompetence of this. Alright, the cold open is followed by some scenic shots to build up the setting. Okay, why the fuck is the beach suddenly significantly smaller? The opening scene made it seem like you could shoot holes on that beach. Maybe the bikers were, midgets or something. Whatever. Enter Corin Nemec, playing his sleazy-ass leisure suit wearing self. Corin Nemec visits the mayor, his father. What? Corin Nemec's dad in this movie looks the same age as him. Being bald does not make this guy seem older. Basically, Corin Nemec has returned to his island home, White Sands, to throw a big fire festival-esque party, but needs a little startup money.
Your son, the fruit of your loins, returns home to bring some life to the dying town that raised him, and this—
How much?
Not much. I got millions waiting on a nickel here, which means millions for this island. You'd be a hero.
Based on the mayor's manager of a Best Buy-looking office, White Sands isn't exactly doing good money-wise for this to even be an option. Elsewhere, while the local cops gawk at a decapitated head on the beach, they demonstrate their incredible investigative skills.
Tim still had his helmet on. Why would he be swimming with his helmet on?
I don't know, maybe they were in the water. They can do that nowadays with these dirt bikes. They can ride them on the water.
Who rides a dirt bike in the ocean? Why is she jumping to sand shark conclusions already?
I mean, for all we know, it could have been a coyote.
A coyote? There hasn't been a coyote on this island in 30 years.
Look, not since the Great Coyote Purge in '81.
Speaking of sharks, Jimmy's back.
Man, the sheriff needs to lay off the Botox. I could barely read the sarcasm in his face. Speaking of Jimmy, aka Corin Nemec, he demonstrates the concept for his party by playing a PowerPoint presentation off of a projector in a brightly lit room so it's barely visible. So it might as well have not been a prop used in the movie.
We can have our own cash cow right here, the Sandman Festival.
He's making a festival based on those Neil Gaiman comics?
You and me will be the family that saves this town.
Do you practice that speech?
A little. Why? Did it sound rehearsed?
Not really.
That had to have been that actor breaking character. There's no other way.
Just mean you're in? Let's party, son. I don't do that. L'chaim! That's my boy.
I have to hand it to the mayor for committing to pretending he didn't go to high school with Corin Nemec. Meanwhile, we meet Brooke Hogan, playing Dr. Powers, a marine biologist and shark expert, so clearly this is a science fiction film. Based on Brooke Hogan's state of undress, she clearly wasn't hired for her acting talents.
Yeah, I'm hoping to speak to a Dr. Powers.
This is she.
Oh, never mind. She was totally hired for her acting.
Is there anything I can help you with? You guys haven't had another shark attack, have you?
Back at the beach, a guy is giving his girlfriend head, but not in the way you'd expect.
I want you to unbury me from the sand like I asked.
If he didn't want to be buried in the sand, why did he let her bury him in the sand? You don't get your entire body buried in the sand by surprise. Unless you're hanging out with Leslie Nielsen, it kind of requires consent.
Relax, you try to relax when you're buried neck deep in the sand.
What is this dude, Anakin Skywalker?
Whatever. I want to break up.
She's clearly devastated. The soy boy doesn't have to sulk for much longer, cause Sand Shark's gonna sand shark. Now his head is under the sand? Ah, now he's gonna be twice as pissed. Elsewhere, at a scene that somehow manages to be less interesting, Corin Nemec's interns prep for the party and meet the guy's lawyer.
He told us a way to meet up with some sharp lady. Actually, he said sharp-tongued devil lady.
You might as well have just called her a cunt at that rate. Corin arrives in the only vehicle I believe this production could afford.
I'll just jump in the bed, it's safe.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one before.
Wow, more out-of-character dialogue.
Hey!
Was this film shot before the civil rights movement? Meanwhile, at the beach, jump scares are happening.
John Wood.
Who pretends to be a shark on land to scare their girlfriend? Simultaneously, Corin Nemec breaks down his upcoming festival.
There is a campground just down the beach a ways for everybody to put their RVs, their tents, whatever, you know?
You expect thousands of college kids to sleep in tents?
Holy shit, this movie predicted the future. The yuppies run into the local 5-0, and it turns out Corin had some romantic history with Officer Brenda.
You have some nerve coming back here, Jimmy Greenberg.
Greenberg?
It's green now.
I heard. As in envy?
As in money.
Jeez, this is some Mr. Krabs-ass dialogue.
After what the people of this island have gone through, you're throwing another party?
Okay, I'm gonna let you in on something. Part of the film's backstory that is never established well is that Corin Nemec threw another festival years ago where 15 people were killed by a shark.
15 people died the last time you threw this island a party.
A flashback to this wouldn't hurt, but then it would detract from the horribly rendered sand-dwelling shark, and they'd also have to probably shoot on water. That's a little too expensive for this film.
Something ate my boyfriend. There is something. A shark swimming in the sand.
Miss, sharks can't swim in the sand.
That's what the executive said to the writer who pitched this fucking movie. After those last couple of kills, the movie blatantly rips on Jaws with a city hall scene populated by outraged extras, but with this flick's budget, the city hall looks like a high school conference room. The scene mostly just serves to fill in more of the backstory's gaps.
You lost your wife and child to a shark attack.
Hey now, we're not saying it was a shark attack.
What is with the mayor's accent? Is this island off the coast of Jersey?
I own a business, and it's hurting.
Oh, he's clearly an important businessman wearing Daddy's suit. In comes the movie's Robert Shaw surrogate, who is literally just a dude doing a Popeye impression.
It's a sand shark. It swims in the sand.
The only thing missing is a can of spinach.
We'll do it for 10 grand. And for that, I bring you the head. Good and dead.
Wow, they just barely avoided copyright infringement with that line.
And then you get to have your fruity festival.
Are they having a gay pride festival on the beach? After the meeting, Dr. Powers meets the sheriff.
Sheriff Stone?
God, Brooke Hogan was robbed at the 2011 Oscars. The doctor convincingly checks out the shark samples or whatever, and the sheriff makes an inquiry.
I noticed you had a firearm, Dr. Powers.
Well, you know, there's a lot of sharks out there, Sheriff. Girl can't be too careful.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. It's from here where the film pretty much doesn't hide the fact that it's a shameless Jaws knockoff, duplicating exact scenes. Then again, if you've seen Jaws, you've pretty much seen every single shark movie. This film actually betrays its own gimmick, though, by having the shark attack from the water. The beach is subsequently closed, but fortunately for Corin Nemec, he has the strength to remove the one sign the police put up.
A very special hands-on job for you.
I told you I wasn't going to do that again.
Relax, I said hands-on job, not hand... Never mind.
He takes advantage of an uneven power dynamic. Great stuff. Brooke Hogan continues to investigate the sand shark teeth as if they didn't actually see the sand shark.
Don't go getting all Roger Corman on me yet.
This movie is below even Corman, and that's saying something. After that pointless scene, the movie continues being a shot-for-shot remake of Jaws. Even the mayor drives a golf cart? I really wish they exactly ripped off the mayor of Amity down to the wardrobe. On the very credible word of Brooke Hogan, the dead shark ain't the right one.
The teeth are too small on this one.
God, there's still an hour left of this movie. Now, I know what you're all wondering. How does Corin Nemec promote his festival on the internet? Luckily, there's a scene that explains just that.
How's promoting in cyberspace, huh?
Oh, man. We got tweets and creeps, bites and bulletins all over the web, man.
I can't believe this film was shot within this decade. Unfortunately, the sand shark bites a single cable that powers the entire island, causing a blackout.
Is anybody else's power out?
Now, despite it being established as night while Corin and Brenda investigate, the shots of the police car driving were clearly recorded at sunset. The movie tries to distract from this by having Corin Nemec pretend to be handcuffed. Next scene, it's night again. Seamless. And Corin Nemec continues to pretend to be handcuffed by folding his arms behind his back. This movie has the production values of a high school play. Anyway, it comes to light that Corin Nemec is surprisingly crooked and has a squad of hired goons.
These men all work for you?
Yes.
All of this is very non-filler important shit when this movie is about a sand shark. Speaking of which, Dr. Powers arrives, along with a sand shark. The characters flee the beach in the most anticlimactic way that I can only describe as the cinematic version of The Floor is Lava.
They're keeping these beaches closed until that thing is killed.
Agreed. Sorry, son.
Now, despite this scene clearly establishing to everybody that there is a shark dwelling in the sand, the mayor makes a point to stand on the sand. Corin Nemec performs this moment with the correct dramatic weight.
My dad! It went! I hate him!
This truly is tragic. After that shit show, one of the goons tries to restore the town's oceanside power supply, but as we saw earlier, sand sharks love the yummy taste of electricity. Wait a second, why did it blow up? It chewed the power cord earlier without blowing up. This event ends up causing, a blackout. I thought a blackout already happened. Whatever, they needed to use that stock footage somewhere. You're likely thinking, this movie is probably over. I fucking wish. This is the halfway point, and the movie doesn't get any better at hiding the filler.
Oh, ow, ow.
Do you need help? Are you okay?
No, I got it. I got it.
Next scene is a total stretching of what's believable even in a movie called Sand Sharks by having Brooke Hogan break down scientifically how a sand shark can exist more than halfway through the film.
It's a predator that has evolved to wear sand like a coat and travel through it like water.
This is literally a sequel within a first film. Fuck me. Meanwhile, the Sandman Festival is kicking off. The film says that more than 1,000 are in attendance, but you kinda just have to imagine that. And all the quote-unquote teens talk like the possessed kids on Spooky Island in the Scooby-Doo movie.
Damn, baby, I'd pop you like a pill.
Yeah. Just go to Pinecone, you crunchies.
All right, attitude, whatever.
Peace.
Whatever, we're out of here. And we got beats like it was the listener's honor. You know what I'm saying, G?
No.
The sheriff and the doc want to cancel the festival, but Corin Nemec is having none of it.
I wasn't prepared last time, but this time, we'll be ready.
That is shit you only say for a trailer. Okay, I am convinced Corin Nemec's character is just Job from Arrested Development. I think the writer just took an Arrested Development script and added sand sharks in.
And this is going to be the biggest, the baddest, the hottest beach party on the planet!
Okay, how did Corin Nemec get all of these people to show up? All they have is a black tarp, a tiny banner, a couple of tents, and a DJ playing royalty-free music. Then again, this is more than what the Fire Festival had, and no promises of dick-sucking had to be made. Corin Nemec enjoys his surprising success and runs into the lawyer I forgot existed, who gives Corin a lip hickey in front of Brenda.
It's not what it looks like.
I hope you die.
Whoa, she sounds like a YouTube comment.
You know why you'll always be in someone's debt, Jimmy? You just don't have the head for business.
You know, the makers of this movie figured out a way to save a lot of money by making a shark movie without having to shoot in water. The interns show up and spot the lawyer's crudely photoshopped decapitated head.
Oh man, I think I'm gonna be sick.
I don't know why, but I think he's gonna be sick. The dude tries to warn the beach, but his female counterpart pulls an Amber Heard on him by hitting him with a bottle. Allegedly.
Sharks are bad for business, but then again, so are cowards.
No matter, cause the sand shark pops in, she gives it a snack, and then she flees in the trailer like she spotted some Jehovah's Witnesses. Through the crowd of likely unpaid extras, the sheriff spots something suspicious.
Sure, Sandy. Just some punk kids building a sandcastle.
Wow, what a dickhead. Okay, I'd just like to warn you that the following scene is totally nonsensical, like beyond the norm for this movie. These two bimbos ask these two incels, who are apparently drug dealers despite building a sandcastle, for drugs. The dudes oblige, but only if one of the girls shows her breasts to their sandcastle shark. Okay. Of course, a real sand shark eats that bitch, and there's a panic, but I just can't wrap my head around everything that led up to this. Brenda and Corin try to flee the beach, but Brenda ends up as a female Lieutenant Dan. This puts a whole new meaning to the phrase, up in her guts. Oh boy, and you thought the prince from Snow White was creepy. Corin fesses up to causing the death of Brenda, the sheriff's sister, and just general negligence.
But I didn't kill anyone. Haven't I suffered enough?
Oh, no. You are gonna rot with guilt.
The sheriff just sounds like a disappointed dad over this. Corin is ordered to help the teens trapped on the pier, and he pitches in by telling them to leave.
Go on, get out of here, scram, hit it!
Doing God's work. Of course, last minute, the Popeye guy shows up to save the day after disappearing for an hour of the film. He's definitely dressed for action wearing that flannel shirt.
What are you doing here? I thought you were stuck on a rock.
We were. We got off.
Solid writing. The surviving characters prepare for a final sand shark showdown, and the doc sums up Popeye's plan.
So, just to be clear, you want to lure the sharks upstream and onto the beach, and then melt the sand with electricity, thus trapping them in a glass prison.
What is this, Minecraft? That makes no sense.
This is a piece of the shark that ate Sparky.
This is acting you'd see in a children's film. Well, the characters act out there, and I'm using the term loosely, playing some more public domain music to reel in the sharks. Things go smoothly, except the speakers get unplugged. So Corin Nemec does something uncharacteristic to move the plot forward, and I guess redeem himself by plugging the speakers back in. Unfortunately, Corin Nemec is a dipshit and can't fix the speakers, so he instead sings some, of course, public domain music to attract the sharks.
Roll your boat gently down the stream!
I know it sounds like I'm making this shit up, but it really is happening in front of you. Popeye sets the napalm-soaked sand on fire and kills the sand sharks. Pretty cut and dry.
Where the hell did you get that flamethrower? Homemade. Bought all the parts on eBay.
Oh, well, that's a useful tip. Of course, the movie can't just end. There's one more fucking sand shark. The movie finally gives a sand shark an extended close-up, and it looks like a cartoon pretzel stick with teeth.
Eat this, you sand of a bitch!
Did she just say sand of a bitch? What the fuck kind of pun is that? After whatever the hell that was, the movie cuts to night, and the intern emerges from the trailer waiting for everything to blow over, and I guess she just assumed that was the case, but no. Yeah, the movie just ends. I guess they just didn't stop the sand sharks. Great ending. So that was Sand Sharks. I guess if you want a shitty movie to make fun of, this pretty much fits the bill. It's one of thousands of shitty movies on Amazon Prime Video though, so there's always something worse. Still, this was pretty bad. I give Sand Sharks a Brooke Hogan at a Fire Festival. Hopefully this RIFFVIEW satisfied the nostalgia whores out there. Jeez, I forgot how much of a pain in the ass these synopsis vids are to make. If you like this video, like it, but if you loved it, subscribe for more and click the bell icon to keep track of future uploads and streams. Also, be sure to follow me on social media at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dr. Wolfula. Finally, if you can, support me by pledging to my Patreon, where you can get bonus streams and other goodies. I'd like to give a shout out to the following platinum supporters of my Patreon. Thank you, Jesus Perez, Michael Blanchard, Tom Wade, Melanie Newtley, Anthony Bonchewski, Sean O'Brien, Willie Grills, Mr. Maskey, Angsty Mantis, Crossroad King, Eddie De La Cruz Huerta, The Evil Gimp, and Gary Miller. And here's a full list of all of my platinum supporters on Patreon. The channel would be nothing without their support, and it's greatly appreciated. Thanks again from the bottom of my heart. I've been your host, Dr. Wolfula, signing out. See you all next time.
And if my dad was here, he would say, paranoia is not a good thing for an election year. I was a little more Richard Nixon than my dad, but you get the point.